Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. The Israelites have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, as prophesied in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Here at Israel United in Christ, we need your help to recover the remnant of our people, teach them the gospel. Please help us, support us, and join or donate to the Booster Club today. Shalom.
Question is, can you please explain what Paul is saying in Romans chapter 1, verse 20? All right. Let's go to it. Read that, Lucius, Romans 1 and 20. Let's get a little bit of understanding.
The book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 20.
Come on.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power of Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
All right, so if you just read that by itself, kind of confusing. You're like, what is he talking about? All right, so let's do this. Let's start at verse 16 so we can get an understanding of what it's going into, okay? All right, read that.
Verse 16.
Come on.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to every one that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek.
All right, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For those who are new, we're going to have a brave brother stand up and give us the understanding on that. Who's it going to be? Let me hear Othniel.
Hey, shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
The Greeks were going into the northern kingdom that was living like Greeks,
Who else?
and also the parts of Judah
That what?
that was living like Greeks.
Yeah,
they
that
was,
living.
Hellenized.
There you go, Hellenized.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. So Paul, right here, has to be speaking of something, right? That had to be a major part in history, right? What is he speaking on? You said it, but I want to hear a little bit more. I want to make sure somebody that's new understands it fully. Who else can add to that? Brothers, it would be you. Yes, Eleazar, let's hear you.
So going back to shalom, leadership.
Hey, shalom.
So going back to the scriptures, the Jews and the Greeks, we know that during the Greek captivity, us Israelites,
What can we read about the Greek captivity?
in Second Maccabees, the Book of Maccabees.
Book of Maccabees.
Book of Maccabees.
All right.
But you know, in Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6, a lot of our nation conform to the Greekish customs, and so we were living by the Greekish fashions.
There you go. All praises. Okay. All right, Losias, read 16 again.
Verse 16.
Read.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ,
Uh-huh.
for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth.
So when it says everyone that believeth, who's that talking about? Well, can you make it plainer for us? Give the mic to Jasha. Let me hear what you got to say. When it says to everyone that believes, because Christianity uses that scripture all day, talking about everyone. What does it mean?
Hey, shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
So, according to Sirach 32 and 24, they want to believe they got to keep the laws.
Okay, that's true. I'm with you. Okay, but it says to the Jew first, also to the Greek. Make everything plain for us, because it says to everyone that believeth. Then it says to the Jew and to the Greek. Tie it all in for us.
All right, to the Jew first, they're going into Judah. So Judah was going to wake up first, and then Judah was going to wake up the rest of the 12 tribes.
Okay, everyone that believe.
Everyone that believe, that's we scattered into all nations. So it's talking about all nations that we scattered into.
There you go. I like that. Very good, very good, very good. All right, verse 17. Come on.
Verse 17. For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith.
It says, from therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith. Think about this. The northern kingdom, like the brothers had stated, they were what? Once considered not a people. Okay. So it says, by northern kingdom and the Hellenized Jews, the proselytes that converted to the ways of the Jews, right? Coming back into the fold, that has to show that there is a God. That's what it's saying right there. Okay. Read verse 17 again.
Verse 17.
Come on.
For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith.
Come on.
As it is written, the just shall live by faith.
The just shall live by faith. What it means to be just, to keep God's commandments. All right. Read on.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness.
Give me an example how the wrath of God is revealed against ungodliness. Yeah, Daniel, you got something. That was quick. Give me an example.
Deuteronomy 28, 6-8 on slave ships.
Yeah. What else?
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
So the wrath of God being revealed from heaven in the book of Exodus, when we read about how the Most High judged the Egyptians.
There you
with the
go.
hellfire.
There it is right there. That's the exact example. All right. Read that again.
Verse 18.
Come on.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
Now, give me Acts 14 real quick. Acts 14, because you got to think that there has to be a God because these things happen, right? Oh Lord, they ain't there. They're not with us today. There's a God, right? And he's showing us by these occurrences that happen on earth. That's how we know there's a God. All right, Acts 14, 17.
Acts chapter 14 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
Nevertheless, he left not himself without witness, in that he did good and gave us rain from heaven.
Something as simple as that. Something as simple as rain from heaven shows us what? There's a God. Okay, read.
And fruitful seasons.
And seasons. That was springtime, fall, winter. Was it autumn? All of these different seasons. That's showing that there's a God. Read.
Filling our hearts with food and gladness.
Think about what happened when we was in the wilderness. What did the Most High give us? He gave us manna. All right, now let's go back. Romans chapter 1, read 18 on down again.
Romans chapter 1 and verse 18.
Come on.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men.
Read.
Who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them.
All right, so now it's going to start shifting gears. It says, at the end of verse 18, it says, who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Meaning what? They know there's a God, but they won't give the true credit to him. Anybody ever heard of, they call it Mother Nature? What are they telling you? They're telling you that they know there's a supreme being, but they won't give the reverence and the honor to the one who it really is, right? Right. All right. Go to, let's go to the book of Acts 17. Acts 17 real quick. Okay. I want Acts 17. We're going to start at verse 16. Okay. Acts chapter 17, verse 16.
The book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 16.
Come on.
Now while Paul waited for them at Athens.
Where's Athens, brothers? Greece. All right, keep this in mind. Read it again.
Now while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry.
Wholly given to idolatry. All right. Let's get some precepts on idolatry. Give me Psalms 135 real quick. Read that.
Psalms chapter 135 and verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
The idols of the heathen are silver and gold,
Read.
the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not.
Mm-hmm.
They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is there any breath in their mouths. They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that...
Whoa, that was a cut. Read that part again.
Verse 18. They that make them are like unto them.
It says, they that make them are like unto them. So how are them? Hold that. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 1. I like that. You can come right back to Psalms. All right, Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 1. Read that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 1.
Come on.
Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood.
Calleth upon what?
A piece of wood.
Come on.
More rotten than the vessel that carrieth him.
You see that? It says that those graven images or those idols, they're more rotten than the transportation that you taken. But when trouble comes, you want to call on an idol? That's what? Well, no, just read the Bible. Read it again. It says it.
Verse 1.
Come on.
Again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves, calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. For verily desire of gain devised that the workman built it by his skill. By thy providence, O Father, govern it, for thou hast made a way in the sea.
All right. So it's saying, how are you going to call upon a piece of wood to save you when over time you made it what? You made it in your image. You sculpted it the way you wanted it to be. But over time, it decayed, got worse and worse and worse. So how are you expecting that to save you? Now go back and read that in Psalms 135 and 18.
Psalms chapter 135 and verse 18.
Come on.
They that make them are like unto them.
So it says, if you make those type of images or idols, you're the same thing. You're dead. You understand that? You're vain. Your life is now in vain if you serve those things. Read on.
They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them.
Everyone that trusteth in them. Yeah, let's drop that. Let's go back to Acts 17. All right, see where we left off at. All right, Acts 17. Where you at? 16 or 17? 16. Yeah, read 16 again.
Acts chapter 17 and verse 16.
Come on.
Now while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry.
So that means what? Wholly given to idolatry means the whole city was worshiping idols. If you wanted to know the city's religion, it would be multiple deities, different idols. That's what they did, okay? Like America is known for Christianity. That's idolatry, okay? Read on.
Verse 17.
Come on.
Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews.
But that's a cut right there showing you what? He's in Athens, Greece, but he's in a synagogue in Athens, Greece, disputing with who? Jews. Showing that our people is where? In Athens, Greece. Okay. Read it again.
Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews.
Come on.
And with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him.
All right, so he's doing this. He's starting to get a following. He's getting the devout Jews discussing scriptures daily. Okay, read on.
Verse 18.
Come on.
Then certain philosophers of Epicureans. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the
Stoics.
Stoic
or stoic. I don't know. Like, how many people went to college in here? How many people? All right. So there's a lot of different groups, sororities, fraternities to join. Has anybody ever heard of this modeling thing called Epicureans? Anybody ever heard of that before? Sisters. Yeah, sisters are here about that. When I was at Cookman, you heard about it, right, Elijah? Yeah, when I was at Cookman, when at the fam, they have that. Our people have no idea what they are actually involved in. So today, we're going to get a little bit of understanding on the Epicureans and Stoics, like who they are, what they're about, all right? Because, you know, when my brothers, they pledge for these fraternities, the Greek, they don't even realize what our forefathers went through. Neither do the sisters in some boys that you get into these modeling troops as well. They don't know what they're doing either. Okay, so hopefully somebody sees this and they repent off of this thing. All right, so it says, then certain philosophers, so Epicureans and Stoics, these are different philosophies or school of thought, okay? Put the image up that I sent you. Let's deal with this one first.
Epicurus was an ancient Greek philosopher and sage who founded a highly influential school of philosophy now called Epicureanism.
Epicureanism, all right? So he's the founder of this school of thought or philosophy, all right? Scroll down, teachings. Read the second paragraph.
Epicurus maintained that the senses never deceive humans.
All right, so in this paragraph, it's going to discuss what they believed or how they thought, okay? Read.
Epicurus maintained that the senses never deceive humans, but that the senses can be misinterpreted by the mind.
All right, so he says that our senses, what we feel, can be misinterpreted by the mind. Okay, read.
Epicurus maintained that the senses never deceive humans, but that the senses can be misinterpreted by the mind.
Okay, come on.
Epicurus held that the purpose of all knowledge is to aid humans in attaining ataraxia. He taught that the knowledge is learned through experience rather than innate, and that the acceptance of the fundamental truth of the things a person perceives is essential to a person's moral and spiritual health.
All right. He taught that knowledge is learned through experiences rather than innate, and that acceptance of the fundamental truth of the things a person perceives is essential to a person's moral or spiritual health. Meaning what? Whatever makes you feel good, that's your truth. That's what he's saying right there. Okay? How dangerous is that? Now, pull up the other one.
Zeno of Citium was a Hellenistic philosopher.
Was a what?
Was a Hellenistic philosopher.
Brothers, what does Hellenistic mean again? Just say it. Converting to Greekish fashions, right? All right. Read it again, Losias.
Zeno of Citium was a Hellenistic philosopher.
Come on.
Phoenician.
Come on.
Phoenician origin of Citium. Cyprus. Zeno was the founder of the Stoic school.
Stoic school of philosophy. I'll read it. Stoic school of philosophy, which he taught in Athens from about 300 BC. Now let's scroll down for the people, please, to philosophy. Okay. All right. Philosophy. It says, following the ideas of the old academy, Zeno divided philosophy into three parts. Logic, a wide subject including rhetoric, grammar, and the theories of perception and thought. Physics, not just science, but the divine nature of the universe as well. And ethics, the end goal of which was to achieve eudaimonia through the right way of living according to nature. So you see, what you hear on the streets is a lot of what's it called? Stoicism. A lot of people, we ask people, say, hey, how do we know what to do? Well, you just have to do the right thing. You have to treat others how you want to be treated. So we're like, where are you getting that from? Well, you just have to do good to people. Good according to what? Well, be nice. They can never explain it. They don't realize that they're actually practicing Stoicism. We learned these thoughts and these ideologies and these philosophies from men. Okay? Give me Colossians 2:8 real quick. Even though Colossians 2:8 isn't talking about this, we use it for this every once in a while. Colossians 2:8.
The book of Colossians, chapter 2 and verse 8.
Come on.
Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit.
Right. It says, be aware lest any man spoil you through philosophies or vain deceit. Vain is going into what? Not profitable. We touched it earlier. Yeah, what was rotten? Them idols. That's vain. Because if you believe in that, you now become vain. Okay? Read it again.
Beware, lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit,
Watch this.
after the tradition of men,
After the traditions of men, read.
after the rudiments of the world,
Come on.
and not after Christ.
And not after Christ. Now, go back to Acts 17. Now we're going to dive into it. Give me Acts 17 and 18. We're going to read down. Watch this.
Acts chapter 17 and verse 18.
Come on.
Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics encountered him.
Encountered Paul while he was teaching the word. Read.
And some said, what will this babbler say?
So they're trying to do what? They're trying to speak derogatory. They're trying to speak down on Paul because remember, they thought about rhetoric. They thought about their own ethical code. So they have their own way of thinking. So they're thinking that anybody else's way of knowledge or thought process is below theirs. Okay? Read.
What would this babbler say?
Come on.
Other some. He seemeth to be a setter forth of strange gods.
So they talking about he's a setter forth of strange gods. But they're into idolatry. Read.
Because he preacheth unto them Jesus
Uh-huh.
and the resurrection.
Read.
And they took him and brought him unto
Areopagus.
Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine, whereof thou speakest, is?
Read.
For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears.
Come on.
We will know, therefore, what these things mean.
And you have a lot of brothers and sisters that you come encounter with on the streets. A lot of them, they're not out there to repent. Some people, even some people that sit amongst us, they just like to hear or learn about new things. And that's what they wanted to do. They didn't want to repent. They said, let me just hear what you're talking about. Okay, you're bringing something new. And it's going to show you that in the next verse. Read.
Verse 21.
Come on.
For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else, but either to tell.
So they sat there in the marketplace to either say a wise phrase, read,
or to hear some new thing.
or to hear something new. Read on.
Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill.
They was where?
Stood in the midst of Mars Hill.
Type that in for us so everybody can see. What is Mars Hill? What is Mars Hill? Anybody know what Mars Hill is? Okay, so I'll just tell you. All right, so Mars Hill was a grove set up for who? The god Mars. Okay? So they were in an area that's dedicated to this god. Okay? So read verse 22 again.
Verse 22.
Come on.
Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, ye men of Athens,
Read.
I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious.
You are too superstitious. All right. Your thought process is out of this world. All right. You're believing in a code of ethics based upon a universal way of thinking. He's saying you're way too superstitious. Verse 23. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, saying, to the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you. Now, I want to show y'all something. Let's go back to Romans 1. Romans chapter 1. You say you got something in the Bible dictionary? Yeah, give him the mic. Read that for us. All praises.
The Compact Bible Dictionary, Mars Hill. A barren hill 370 feet high northwest of the famous Acropolis in Athens, dedicated to Ares, the god of war.
Excuse me. Ares. Thank you.
It's a Paul was taken there to clarify his mysterious teachings. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Othniel. What I call Romans chapter 1 and verse 19. Watch this. Watch this. Hold Acts, those sides.
Romans chapter 1 and verse 19.
Come on.
Because that which may be known of God.
Wait, I think Ares is Mars. Yeah, it is. It is. Ares is Mars. All praises. Just by a different name. That's all. All right. Read that again for us.
Romans chapter 1 and verse 19.
Uh-huh.
Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
Now, you remember when we went to the example like Brother James pulled out in Exodus, our deliverance? Remember when we went to Acts 14 and 17, showing what? Showing that rain comes from who? The Most High, right? So, read verse 19 again, Losias.
Verse 19.
Uh-huh.
Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them.
Uh-huh.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen,
Read.
being understood by the things that are made,
Come on.
even his eternal power of and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
Everybody's without excuse. Everybody knows about the creation, that it existed, that it came about, but we see it every day. You understand? We see the signs of the times. We see the seasons changing. We see mankind. You understand? We see the prophecies coming to light every day. So we're without excuse. Meaning what? If we choose not to believe this, we have no excuse because God is showing himself prevalent every day. Now, we're going to make the correlation between these two. Read Acts 17 and 23, and we're going to come right back. Watch this.
The book of
Remember
Acts,
the Mother Nature thought I said earlier. Think about Mother Nature. Read that.
the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 23.
Come on.
For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship. Him declare I unto you.
So they made an altar dedicated to something called the unknown God. Somebody explain that. Yes, yes. Take a stab at it.
Shalom leadership.
Shalom.
So it's just like when they say, Mother Nature and all these other things. Basically, they saying the universe is, what they, worshiping and serving, I guess.
Or like
and
a Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, all this science and stuff and the philosophies that they coming up with.
Right. They have to give credit because they can't just say it didn't happen.
Right.
So they decide instead of giving the true credit to who it really is, they say, the unknown God. Today they say Mother Nature, Big Bang Theory. Y'all follow? All right, let's go back to Romans 1. Sisters, y'all all right? Say they're not following. I hope you're getting it too, sisters. All right. Read 20 and 21 together.
The book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 20.
Come on.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
Come on.
Being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
Read on.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
So now Paul, he's making things, it's like a funnel, right? Talking about one thing. We understand that the context is the Greek captivity. And we're going to get into that a little bit more as well. But now he's starting to make it so more concrete to who exactly he's talking about. Pay close attention. Read verse 21 again.
Verse 21.
Come on.
Because that when they knew God and glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination.
All right. Who knew God?
Israel. What, the whole world?
Oh.
The whole world.
Pass the mic.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Aaron, what you got? Give it to Aaron, man.
Shalom leadership. In this context, you're talking about Paul. Paul knew God.
Oh, Aaron, I thought you. Wait, let's read it again. Read it again. Listen to what it's saying right here. 21.
Verse 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified
It
him.
says they. And you say he or I. Read it again.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him.
All right, so brothers, there's a reason why we tell y'all to study certain things. Now you got it. Let's go. Come on. What you got?
The northern kingdom.
The northern kingdom of Israel. Very good. Now, the reason why I asked y'all, these are key words, and y'all got to teach like this, and you got to understand like this. Because that when they knew God, now let me ask you like this, who foreknew God, or who did God foreknow? Where did we read that at? What's the precept? Say it, call it out loud. Amos, the 3rd chapter. There you go. Exactly. Yes, that is the precept, Simon. Amos 3:1. Now, let's read on. Romans 1:21. Read it again.
The book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 21.
Come on.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Remember, our forefathers did what? When we knew God, when we had him, what do? We turned to what? Idolatry. You see? Y'all see that, right? There it is. Read it again from the top.
Verse 21.
Come on.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God.
Uh-huh.
Neither were thankful.
We had the kingdom on earth, but we weren't thankful. That's why God did what? He took the kingdom from us. Right? Read on.
But became vain in their imagination.
How do we become vain in our imaginations? Idolatry. Good. But in the Greek captivity, we read in Athens, what did we start doing? Huh? To what? It is idolatry, but I want y'all to understand more specific. You got it, Stephen? What? What did we started doing when we was in Athens? Huh? What is it?
Colossians 2:8. We started worshiping the vain thoughts.
Okay, there you go. The philosophies, Epicurean and Stoic. You see? Do you see it or do you see it? Okay. Read the verse again.
Romans chapter 1 and verse 21.
Come on.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
And their heart was darkened. Remember, when it comes to Paul's epistles, it's hard to be understood. That's why I said if you just read the verse, you're like, I don't really know. You got to read before and you got to read after it. Who was darkened? Yeshaya, who was darkened?
The northern kingdom,
How you know that?
because they went into idolatry.
Oh, no. Prove it. Anybody else know how they were darkened? At least he got who it was. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
It's Hosea 4:17.
Does it say they're darkened?
Oh, no, sir.
No, it doesn't. One more. Othniel.
Isaiah 7:8.
Does it say they were darkened?
I don't think so, sir.
No. Let's go to Isaiah, though. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. All right. Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 1. Write these down, brothers. Write these precepts down. Okay. All right, read that. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1 and 2.
Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 1.
Come on.
Nevertheless, the diminished shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun.
The land of who?
The land of Zebulun.
Come on.
And the land of Naphtali.
Uh-huh.
And afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea.
Read.
Beyond Jordan.
Uh-huh.
In Galilee of the nations.
Galilee of the nations. Read.
The people that walked in darkness.
The people that did what?
That walked in darkness.
Who is Zebulun and Naphtali? Who is that? That's the northern kingdom. They said they walked in what?
In darkness.
In darkness. They walked in darkness. Go back to Romans 1. Read 21 and 22.
Romans 1 and verse 21.
Come on.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination.
Come on.
And their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
They became fools, professing themselves to be wise through what? They idolatry, their philosophy, they actually became fools, because remember what it said in Psalms 135 and verse 18. Read it again. Here's your precept for verse 22. It says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Read that, Psalms 135 and 18.
Psalms chapter 135, verse 18. They that make them are like unto them.
You see? They that make those vain, foolish idols. Remember what it said. Go to that in Hosea. Leave them alone. They went off to those dumb idols. You know what I want, right? 1 Corinthians 12 and 2.
1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2.
Read it.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols.
To these dumb idols. The northern kingdom, they were the ones carried away into these dumb idols. Dumb idols. Read that. Psalms 135, 18.
Psalms 135 and verse 18.
Come on.
They that make them are like unto them. So is every one that trusteth in them.
And what are those idols? They were dumb. Read it again.
They that make them are like unto them.
All right, so that means you're what if you make them? You are dumb. Now, go back to Romans 1 and 22.
Romans chapter 1 and verse 22.
Come on.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
You see? That's how they became fools, through idolatry and philosophy. Okay? Read on.
Verse 23. And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creepy things. Wherefore God also gave
No, this is 23. Now it says, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creeping things. 2 Chronicles 6 and 6. Because y'all got to remember something. We chosen. So the Most High God, he chose us, hand-selected, hand-picked. And he did what? 2 Chronicles 6 and 6. Watch this.
2 Chronicles chapter 6 and verse 6.
Come on.
But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there.
That is what?
That my name might be there. And have chosen David to be over my people Israel.
Right. So the Most High God, he put his glory on us. He said, look at my creation. Look at my people. But this is what we did. Psalms 106 and 20. This is what we did. Psalms chapter 106 and verse 20.
The book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 20. Thus they changed their glory.
We did what?
Changed their glory.
You have to understand, we are the sons and daughters of the Most High living God. Understand that. But we did what?
Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox.
You see? But we changed our glory into this likeness of an ox, or that four-footed beast. Yes. Psalms 106 and 20. Read it again.
Psalms chapter 106 and verse 20.
Come on.
Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox that eateth grass.
That eateth grass. Read on.
They forgot God, their Savior.
Start at 19. Watch this.
Verse 19.
Come on.
They made a calf in the Horeb and worshipped the molten image.
What is that called, brothers? An idol, idolatry. Read on.
Verse 20.
Come on.
Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox that eateth grass.
Read.
They forgot God, their Savior.
You see that? We forgot God. All right. First Maccabees 1 and 11. Yeah, go there real quick. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. Okay.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
All right. So it's telling us what? During the Grecian rule, we had our own brothers and sisters who did what? We said, we're going to put away the ways of God. We're going to say, let's forget about the great deliverance in Egypt. Let's forget about everything God gave us. And we're going to go follow these heathens. Read it again.
Verse 11.
Come on.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
And I want y'all to put it together. You got, in the past, you had the idolatry. And specifically in Athens, we had the philosophy. But they're one and the same. I'm just trying to put it together for you. Read.
Who persuaded many, saying.
Read it right. Please, read it again from the top.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11.
Come on.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen.
You see that? Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen, meaning what? Now we're going to start following their ways and their customs. Read.
Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
Read.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Read.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after their ordinances.
So they wanted to be like the heathen so bad because, how can I say, the heathen are the worst of the worst. Okay, that's the worst of the worst Gentiles. So they wanted to be like the heathen so bad that they went to the king and said, I want a license to put away my my ancestry as an Israelite, and I want to become a Greek. I want to sell out to the Greekish fashions 100%. Okay, read.
Verse 14.
Come on.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise.
Read.
At Jerusalem. According to the custom of the heathen.
So they said, forget the temple. Forget the ways of the Most High God. Forget his glory. And they built a gymnasium. What does gymnos mean? James.
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
I believe it means naked or naked place of exercise.
Yes. To work out in the nude. So our forefathers, we decided to build a place of naked exercise, man on man, woman on woman, and did away with the commandments of God. Now, when we go back to Romans 1, a lot of brothers bring this out for the image of Christ. It's not what it's talking about. This is what it's talking about. All right, read Romans 1 and 23 and 24. On down to 26. We'll stop there.
The book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 23.
Come on.
And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man.
Because of what? Because of sin. Because of idolatry. The only reason we're great is because of the Most High. That's the only reason. Once we leave God's laws, we're no better than a 4-footed beast, an ox, anything that creepeth. We're the same as that. Okay? Read.
Verse 23.
Come on.
And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like the corruptible man. And to birds, and to 4-footed beasts, and to creeping things.
Read.
Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through their lust of their own hearts.
Right, because we wanted to become a heathen so bad, we got licensed to become heathens. So he said, you know what? Since you want to be that so bad, I'm going to give you what your wicked soul desires. Read.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
I'm going to tell you this. If you wrestle a man without clothes, and he ain't got none on either, that would classify as dishonoring your bodies, okay? Don't be wrestling without clothes. You don't need to be wrestling in the first place. That's not our custom, okay? Read.
Verse 25.
Come on.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie? Read.
And worship and serve the creature more than the creator.
Right. We cared about our own desires. That stoicism, going into whatever you perceive in your own eyes, is important to your I forgot what it says, like well-being. That's going into only glorifying yourself. That's not the glory of the Father. Read it again.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the creator. What
was that one god they always like Adonis? Adonis. He's the one that got the naked statue. Or they always say he has the body of a Greek god. You see, y'all got to watch what you say and watch. Hey, where the hell did that come from? You understand? We're reading about it right here. They worship men's bodies and had orgies. That's what they did. But guess what? We wanted that so bad, we said, to hell with being an Israelite, I'm going to do it too. Okay, 25 again.
Verse 25.
Come on.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator.
Read.
Who is blessed forever. Amen.
Come on.
For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections.
Because we wanted to do that, God let us dabble and he gave us up to those vile affections. What's that called? Homosexuality. Okay. All right. So that's the answer for today.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.